If you try to follow the recent events surrounding the peace negotiations between the United States and the Islamic Republic of Iran, your head might explode. In this presentation, I shall attempt to defuse the tick, 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 or at least give you some perspective so that you don't rip your hair out every time you hear the news about the progress being made. Welcome to Pablo el Molinero. Pablo el Molinero. Look, this was never going to be easy. What we are attempting to bridge is a civilizational gap between a mostly secular society with its roots firmly established in Judeo-Christian traditions and an Islamist culture that is fundamentalist in nature. In the case of Iran, this struggle has been going on since the birth of the Islamic Republic in April of 1979. I am not an Islamic scholar, obviously, but I shall try to explain a couple of things that you may or may not know about the Shiite Muslim point of view and how the so-called Twelver theory contributes to their belief. This is the most basic explanation there is. Like I said, I'm no religious scholar. According to Shiite theology, there was a series of 12 divinely appointed leaders known as imams who had a direct blood lineage to the Prophet Muhammad. The 12th Imam, known as Al-Mahdi, was the son of the 11th Imam and mysteriously disappeared in the 9th century at the age of 5 after officiating his father's funeral. Of course, there is much more to the story, but the point is that Shiites believe that the 12th Imam is still alive and shall reemerge at a time of worldwide upheaval. This upheaval includes all of the traditional views of the apocalypse that are almost universal throughout the world's religions. We're talking about moral decay, widespread war, pestilence, cable TV news, and locusts. Lots of locusts. The whole gamut of things that lead to the downfall of mankind. Although I can find nothing in Islam that compels them to do so, some Iranian Shiites, particularly hardline factions, seem to be trying to accelerate the apocalyptic process so that the Al-Mahdi can finally reveal himself. Understanding all of this may not help lead to peace between the two sides, but it at least helps to identify the ideology that we are confronting. It also sheds light on why trying to reach any peace deal with the Islamic Republic seems to be a Sisyphean task. As we watch them promote terrorism throughout the region, it sometimes just seems that they don't really want peace. I have made other videos on the subject which I invite you to watch. But let's just say that if it's true that the regime in Tehran doesn't want peace and refuses to coexist with the West, it seems inevitable that there be some kind of civilizational showdown at some time. So, where are we now? One reality which surely everyone can see by now is that the IRGC will probably never surrender. They did not surrender after the 12-Day War, and they have shown no signs of capitulating even after being relentlessly attacked for 2 months. President Trump then called for a ceasefire, claiming that Iran was desperate for a peace deal. A pattern developed over a couple of months where a deal was on the table and then not. I have commented on that pattern in another video, which I also hope you'll watch. I'll put links in the description. But here, I just want to see where we are now and what I suspect is involved in Trump's thinking by insisting on making some kind of a deal. The situation is that we have defeated their military, but we cannot defeat them militarily. In other words, we have decimated their Navy and Air Force and have destroyed much of their weapons manufacturing capability, including nuclear installations. But it hasn't produced the results that we are ultimately seeking. Would it help to go back to a bombing campaign that destroys their infrastructure and leaves them without electrical power or roads and bridges? While it would weaken the regime even more, it still seems unlikely that they would surrender. Also, it would hurt the civilian population more than it would the IRGC. Then there's the Strait of Hormuz. The Revolutionary Guard still has enough drones, missiles, and mines to close off most of the traffic through the strait. It doesn't matter that we can neutralize most of their weaponry, because even so, they represent enough of a threat to reduce the flow of commerce through the area to a fraction of what it should be. At this point, dealing with Iran on a military level is little more than a game of whack-a-mole. They pop up, take a shot, and we defend and try to blow up whatever it was that popped up. I have no doubt that the IRGC is willing and capable of keeping this up for years. So, what's next? In the next video, I'll look at the chaotic events leading up to the first round of talks between the United States and Iran taking place in Lucerne, Switzerland. I shall also give you my personal theory about what the Trump administration is actually trying to accomplish and why, against all odds, I think it just might work. Thanks for watching. This is Pablo El Molinero.